and information technology by using artificial intelligence to tackle climate change. We rise to the future by nurturing our curiosity. Go on, nurture your curiosity.
I've traveled through outer space, floating there for days and days. When I'm up in the sky, there's nothing round for miles and miles. I can't wait to go back home right now. And I can't hold it back anymore. Oh, don't you know it's time for me to go?
Teacher?
Yes, Rohan?
Teacher, how do astronauts do number 1 in space?
Shh. That's a good question. They wear diapers.
Oh, don't you know it's time for me to go? Time for me to go. No, please don't you know it's time for me to go?
Are you ready? Let's leave.
Dad, why is the earth round?
Now, children, that is how humans discovered fire. Yes?
But ma'am, what is fire made of?
The obscure that doesn't explain what fire is any more than...
Mama, the video stopped.
Ria, the internet is down.
Internet? What is it made of? Why is this colorless?
The curious ask questions. Questions spark innovations. That's why at Mahindra we nurture curiosity. Curiosity that enables us to futurize. Urbanization by creating sustainable and smart world cities. Mobility with electric race to road technology. Farming using technology to boost productivity. And information technology by using artificial intelligence to tackle climate change. We rise to the future by nurturing our curiosity. Go on, nurture your curiosity.
very good morning to all of you. My name is Malvika Iyer. I am a motivational speaker and a disability rights activist. Today is a very special day, and as you will find out soon, this is the beginning of something big. For those who have been following us on social media, your digital screens must have been exploding with the announcement of the University of the Future. We have everyone asking, what's next for me? India asked, and the Mahindra ecosystem has answered. As this virtual celebration now unfolds, we will together explore the 2020 revolution in education. The world has gone digital, like this inauguration, and now it is the turn of education to undergo a digital transformation. The University of Future is here, and in the next few minutes, we will hear from some of the leading captains of the industry and the country talk about what a University of the Future should mean to India and its people. Let's take you beyond, that is hashtag TECHU beyond, and unveil the day's proceedings. It's my pleasure to invite Mr. C.P. Gurnani, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Tech Mahindra, and Board of Management, Mahindra University, to deliver the opening address. Over to you, CP.
Thank you, Malvika. Coming from you, a person who has seen extreme situations in life, and it was only appropriate that we invite you, and it is because you are a diversity champion, you are a bomb blast survivor, and you've been the World Economic Forum global shaper. And I'm really excited on the birth of Mahindra University. Like in every important event in life, there are always a few stories. The way the legend goes is Vineet and I, when we had come, even before acquiring Satyam to Bahadurpally campus of then Satyam, we were very proudly shown that this is where the presidents of India, chief ministers, and various country heads have even visited. And I guess that did not impress us as much as what impressed us was there was a skeleton of a small building, which is now the Vice Chancellor's office and the main block. And Vineet and I both said, this is where we should have a engineering college which will train the future engineers and future leaders of India. Obviously, with Vineet, it is never that simple. And Vineet came from a liberal arts background. And the next 1 hour, my argument was that Vineet, we spent 7 months to train a person who has already come out of an engineering college. We try and imbibe leadership, personality skills. And his point was that you don't have to spend that 7 months if you had a liberal arts graduate. I mean, it's no secret that Vineet is a liberal arts graduate. He comes from liberal arts and humanities background, and I'm an engineer. Well, that argument finally got settled by saying, let's start with the engineering college, and we will eventually, as they say, inshallah, convert it into Mahindra University. And I personally, over these years, now as you would remember, this was 2009, it took us a little bit of an effort to find the suitable partner, to bring the Satyam ship into a full sail mode. And in 2014 is when the Mahindra Ecole Central was born. Now, around that time, it's again 2014, I meet the Honorable Chief Minister, and I do share with him that this is the Mahindra Equal Central, and this is what we are doing. I mean, if you all recall, his first term of the state was also born, I think KTR, it is 2014, and Mahindra Equal Central was 2014. An honorable minister had also taken charge in 2014. So Honorable Chief Minister's first part was, we have too many small colleges who may or may not be doing well, and they do not augur to the image of Telangana. I want you to be known as the next ISB or better than ISB. Now, this was, the Honorable Chief Minister's vision when I met him in 2014. And I did promise him, sir, we believe we will reimagine the education. And I am so glad today that the dream that Vineet and I shared with Anand in 2009, the dream that KCR, who is the Honorable Chief Minister, passed on to us, is today a reality. Now, it is also another coincidence. Another coincidence is that the day we legally acquired Satyam, the day the result was announced, it was 13th of April 2009, and it happened to be my daughter's birthday. And today, and believe me, it is a coincidence that it is 24th of July 2020, but 24th of July is KTR's birthday too. So guys, birthday of Mahindra University, birthday of KTR, and one more confession. It also happens to be my son's birthday. So my son Ashish Gurnani does keep company with you, KTR. And KTR, on behalf of Mahindra Group, I welcome you. I welcome all the dignitaries who have spent and given us the motivation to continue on this journey of reimagining education. And KTR, on behalf of Mahindra Group, I will keep the bouquet and I'm presenting it to you.
Very much.
And Kate, and again, I again want to thank each and every one of you for helping us and motivating us through the journey. Particularly want to thank Mrs. Chitra Ramachandran, the Education Secretary, and Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, who is now the Vice Chancellor of JNTU. Until yesterday, as long as we were Mahindra Equal, we were part of JNTU. So again, thank you for housing us as a part of JNTU. And subsequently, we are also grateful that we will together fulfill each other's dream to create future leaders. Thank you so much, and thanks again.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing this wonderful story. And I'm truly touched by your words. And we are all with you together in this wonderful dream. Thank you once again. I now call upon Dr. Yaj Meduri, Vice Chancellor, Mahindra University, to address us. Over to you, Mr. Dr. Meduri.
Thank you, Malvika and CP. As our former late President Abdul Kalam put it, all of us do not have equal talents, but all of us have an equal opportunity to develop our talents. And if we add intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. And as we unveil a university today in front of our friends, mentors, and well-wishers, I'd like to reiterate that this is what we aim to achieve: an education that imparts skills, teaches thinking, and helps build character, so that each student can positively contribute to the society and to the world. As CP put it, what began 6 years ago as a College of Engineering, an institution striving to make a qualitative difference in the way technical education is imparted to students in India, has today culminated in the launch of the university, a university of the future, a multidisciplinary global university. We have been striving to lead from the front through our journey in education. Our unique pedagogy at the Ecole Centrale College of Engineering ensured that we became one of the best and most sought after engineering education options for students. Our tie-up with Ecole Centrale France focused on ensuring that our students became global practitioners in engineering. We introduced Flip Education, wherein the emphasis was to engage students through discussions and collaborative thinking and move them away from the bookish knowledge and rote methodology. Today, the University of the Future will have a holistic approach to education and will use technology to revolutionize the way millennials are studying by combining AI and EI. May I expand artificial intelligence and emotional intelligence to optimize learning in each of our schools. Our plan is to grow to an estimated 4,000 plus students along with around 350 faculty across various schools over the next 5 to 7 years. Besides the Ecole Centrale School of Engineering, we'll be providing for quality education in the School of Management, School of Law, School of Design, School of Media and Liberal Arts, and the Indira Mahindra School of Education over the next 2 to 4 years. What will make us stand out? What will make us stand out amongst this huge number of universities in India? We shall focus on special elements transversal to all undergraduate degrees, irrespective of the major, such as creating an entrepreneurial mindset, EI and leadership, communication, creativity, critical thinking, digital humanities, as well as enabling AI, data science, and inference in all students. We have planned for cutting-edge interdisciplinary majors across the board, from artificial intelligence and computational mathematics to nanotechnology and computational biology, from data analytics and economics to computation and media, with the sole focus being that programs on offer shall be interdisciplinary, shall be contemporary, as well as those with specific synergies between majors. An educational organization is only as good as its education is. To help us grow, we have enlisted the help of a talented faculty pool, all of whom have doctoral degrees from the IITs, IISc, and leading overseas campuses. In addition, we have international faculty visiting us regularly from our Central friends in France, from the University of Texas at Austin, University of Florida in the US, and the University of California at Davis, and many others. We have established big partnerships. Besides the Central Group in France, we have a tie-up with Babson College, USA, the world's #1 school for entrepreneurship. We have got into a tie-up with the University of Florida in Gainesville. We're looking at tie-ups with Japan, and the list is endless. In addition, we have memoranda of understanding with state government and also leading research departments of the government for developing COEs, example, AI, cybersecurity, etc. One of our founding principles is a strong focus on quality research in interdisciplinary fields. We will promote research at an institutional level so that we can focus on actual problem solving and contribute to the rise of a new India. Our unwavering commitment to quality research has made us allocate sizable resources to the activity as well as create well-equipped research infrastructure and modern labs. And when we talk about modern labs, I have to mention the NVIDIA AI Supercomputing Lab, our VLSI Lab, our Automotive Systems and Internal Combustion Engines Lab, the Center for Robotics, and again, so on and so on. We've already set up 3 centers of excellence, focusing on AI, focusing on entrepreneurship, because after all, we want to create an entrepreneurial mindset at Mahindra University, and a center for sustainable infrastructure and systems. More and more centers of excellence will be added on as we keep moving on and moving on and on. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. Yeats said this way back, and we at the University of the Future will endeavor to always light this fire through critical thinking, focus on innovation, and opening up of our students' horizons. Here's to a new beginning and a new era in education. Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Dr. Meduri, for your inspiring words. Education is truly the lighting of the fire. It is now my honor to invite Mr. Anand Mahindra, Chairman, Mahindra Group and Chancellor, Mahindra University, to address the audience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, and thank you, Malvika. Honorable Minister, Shri K.T. Rama Rao, Special Chief Secretary, Srimati Chitra Ramchandran, Dr. Rohini Srivatsa, Vineet, CP, all our colleagues at Mahindra University and Tech Mahindra. I want to thank you all for joining us today. Now, I've lost count of the number of launches I've had the privilege of attending, but never before have I felt the sense of momentousness, the sense of embarking on a great new adventure that I feel today. Because we are truly opening a new page in the story of higher education in our country, which is why it's an absolute honor and a great privilege for me to tell you that we have received this morning a message of good wishes and congratulations from our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, and I have the honor of reading it out to you if I may. The Prime Minister says that the launch of a university by the Mahindra Group is an admirable initiative. Heartiest congratulations and best wishes on this occasion. Education and knowledge are the cornerstones of growth and progress of any nation or society. The university does not merely impart education, but lays the foundation of character building and nation building among the future citizens of this country. It expands the thinking horizons of students and enables them to make a meaningful contribution to society and the nation. Today, technology and innovation have become the driving force in every field of activity. The leveraging of technology to take education to the people will lead to the true empowerment of the people, particularly the underprivileged and disadvantaged sections of society. This noble gesture of the Mahindra Group will surely go a long way in providing quality and value-based education to students and also equip them for the larger battles in life. Greetings and best wishes to the Mahindra Group for the online launch of the university. At a time when the world is overcoming the challenge posed by the coronavirus pandemic, the online launch of the university is a thoughtful and enterprising initiative. May the university grow from strength to strength and contribute to nation building. Signed, Shri Narendra Modi, Honorable Prime Minister of India. Thank you again, Honorable Prime Minister, on behalf of all of us at Mahindra University. I hope this is going to be a page that will bring global standards of excellence to Telangana and to India and give our bright people the education they deserve. I have to say, this is an emotional moment for me because I, like Vineet and CP, I'm also witnessing a dream coming true. And it's a dream that spans 3 generations. Because at the turn of the 20th century, 2 young men dreamed very big dreams in a very small town in Punjab. My grandfather, J.C. Mahindra, and his brother, K.C. Mahindra, prospered, but they never forgot that it was their education that was the very foundation of their success. And they saw education as vital to the future of independent India and, quote unquote, paid it forward by embedding a passion for education in the philosophy and activities of the company they founded. The Mahindra Education Trust, later known as the K.C. Mahindra Education Trust, was founded in 1953 by K.C. Mahindra with the objective of promoting and encouraging engineering education among Indians by awarding scholarships to Indians to undertake engineering studies abroad. Later, my father Harish Mahindra and my uncle Keshav Mahindra continued the good work. In fact, I have to say my uncle Keshav Mahindra has long been an inspiration and a mentor in all our educational endeavors. And even today, at the age of 96, he takes a lively interest in all things educational. He continues to serve as the chairman of the United World College, Mahindra College Board. He enjoys the KCMET scholarship interviews every year and has never missed any session. So if anyone's more excited than I am about the Mahindra University, it is my uncle Keshav. I'm honored, therefore, to convey his blessings and good wishes as well today. And I must also remember another passionate educationist, my mother Indira. She was a feminist, a writer, and a teacher. Before marriage, she taught at the Isabella Thoburn College in Lucknow. And for her, education was a magic mantra, particularly in changing the lives of women. And that belief in the value of education was passed on to me and has influenced not just me, but all my colleagues in the Mahindra Group. Now, we run schools ranging from conventional schools to the International Mahindra United World College. We impart vocational life skills through our pride schools and the programs of the Tech Mahindra Foundation. We have supported 4.5 lakh girls to pursue their school education through the Nanhi Kali initiative. And we've helped hundreds of bright students to pursue their studies abroad. And each time I sat through those interviews, I would wonder why it was necessary to send our brightest young people abroad. And I would envision a time when we would offer them an education worthy of their talents right here in India. So it's a delightful irony that an educational effort that started by encouraging students to study abroad is today endeavoring to keep them at home by bringing them the best that the world has to offer right at their own doorstep. Now, there have been many midwives in the birth of Mahindra University. The Honorable Chief Minister of Telangana, Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao, and his government are pursuing a far-sighted and enlightened policy in enabling the creation of 5 fully funded autonomous universities in the state. And I'm proud to say that Mahindra University is the first of these universities to see the light of day. I want to thank the Chief Minister, KTR, and your colleagues, and assure you that the Mahindra University will add luster to the educational achievements of the state of Telangana. I must pay tribute to my colleague of many years, Vineet Nair, who one day, many years ago, barged into my office, thumped on the table, and convinced me that Mahindra's duty, given its long history of educational philanthropy, was to contribute to India's quality education needs in a big way. And really, it's thanks to his vision and his perseverance that the Mahindra École Centrale was established in 2014, which frankly will form the nucleus of Mahindra University. Vineet, of course, will continue to be deeply engaged with Mahindra University. And I must thank my colleague and Vineet's accomplice, the dynamic CP Gurnani, whose enthusiasm, energy, and implementation skills have brought us to this day. Vineet, CP, I owe you a deep debt of gratitude. The next 3 years is going to see the Mahindra University grow apace, and we plan to add many new schools specializing in a wide range of disciplines. But if Mahindra University is to be a truly outstanding 21st century philosophy, its whole must be greater than the sum of its parts. The word university comes from a combination of 2 Latin words, universus, meaning whole, H-W-O-L-E, and not H-W-L-O-E, one would think, but W-H-O-L-E, and veritas, meaning truth. It can be elegantly translated as seeking truth together. That's what I believe the Mahindra University will be, a community of teachers and scholars who seek truth together. If universe means whole, then an ideal education must nurture the whole person. So I would love to see Mahindra University produce and
Ankit.
Thank you, sir, for empowering the youth with your words. It was truly an honor for all of us to hear the inspiring message of the Honorable Prime Minister in support of the university. We are all excited to embark upon this journey with the University of the future. I would now like to invite Shri K.T. Ramarao, Honorable Minister for Municipal Administration and Urban Development, Industry and Commerce, Information Technology. Over to you, sir.
Many thanks, Malvika, and Honorable Chairman of the Mahindra Group, Shri Anand Mahindra ji, my dear friend CP Gurnani, Vineet Nair ji, the Vice Chancellor of Mahindra University, Dr. Yaj Meduri, our Special Chief Secretary for Education, Srimati Chitra Ramchandran ji, my colleague in the Council of Ministers, our Tourism and Sports Minister, Shri Srinivas Gaud ji, Srinivas Gaud Garu, our Principal Secretary for Industry, Commerce, IT, Sri Jayesh Ranjan Garu. We also have Shivanandji and many other distinguished colleagues who are on the panel. Firstly, let me congratulate the Mahindra Group and Sri Anand Mahindra for this brilliant initiative. I believe Mahindra Group has been known, as a group which strives for excellence in every walk of life. And I do believe, like Anandji pointed out, this also will go a long way in your strive for excellence, sir. Anandji, before I go into my formal comments, I would like to, recollect, a specific tweet from you that I saw a while ago. And Government of India, in fact, after the India-China skirmish on the border, had decided to ban about 59 digital apps. The whole country and the countrymen, of course, have complied. But I saw this one specific tweet from a Chinese gentleman called as Hu Xin, who had said, well, even if Chinese people want to boycott Indian products, they can't really find many Indian goods. And he also went on to say, Indian friends, you need to have some things that are more important than nationalism. To which, sir, you have responded. And I think you're the only one from India Inc. who has responded, really. Responding saying, I suspect this comment might very well be the most effective and motivating rallying cry that India Inc. has ever received. Thank you for the provocation. We will rise to the occasion. That was your comment. That was your very, very terse tweet to this, and a very very honorably and very, very respectfully put, sir. Sir, I would want only one thing. I would want to draw your attention to one thing. We all hear about these amazing stories. The one you pointed out, for instance, Nalanda. I met a very senior and a very, very rich businessman in Mumbai some time back, say 1 year ago. He told me a very fascinating story. He said, now my wife asked me as to how long do you suppose people will remember your enterprise after you're gone? He thought for a minute. He said, possibly 100 years. This is a very large business conglomerate, sir. I'm going to share the name with you in private, but not online right here. He said possibly 100 years, maybe 200 years. His wife smiled at him and then asked him a very, very innocuous question. She said, can you recall the name of one enterprise from about 1,000 years ago? He drew a blank. He couldn't come out with any name. But then she smiled and told him, you've made enough money. I think now is the time for you to come out with something extremely meaningful and extremely long-lasting. We still recall the names of Nalanda. We still recall the name of Taxila. We still recall the names of some amazing universities from which, like you said, have been founded in India and have been bedrocks of innovation for generations and ages. So she goaded him to go into this space. So, sir, the passion that you exude in everything that you do, and as you also fondly recalled Mr. K.C. Mahindra, and also your parents and your grandparents and your mom, who was a teacher also, I would urge you to focus on 5 things in this Mahindra University. Before I go into that, let me also convey the good wishes from our Honorable Chief Minister. As CP pointed out, when the whole idea of Mahindra University was being discussed with Honorable Chief Minister, he only said one thing. He said, please don't be a run-of-the-mill university. Ensure that you focus on skill. Ensure that you focus on aligning with the market needs, on aligning with what India needs, really, end of the day. That is what he wanted to convey. And I regret that he could not join us today because he's actually away from Hyderabad. But he sends his best regards and best wishes, of course. Let me just get into what I would like to see Mahindra University do. Sir, I have 5 very specific proposals, 5 specific suggestions, if I may. Firstly, sir, I think universities and the top-notch universities of the world have been known as the ones we talk about, the ones we refer to very respectfully. The Stanfords, the Harvards, the MITs have been the bedrock of innovation, in a variety of fields. I would want Mahindra University, to be one of those universities which encourages innovation in a big way, which encourages innovation, going back to what your tweet said, which encourages more enterprises, more entrepreneurs, more innovation in every walk of life. Let innovation be the bedrock of Mahindra University's founding principles and guiding, let it be the guiding light going forward is one request I have for you, sir. The second request I have for you and Dr. Yash Meduri. Now, online education after COVID, we've all been so dependent and extremely reliant on virtual teaching, virtual health, and virtual everything, virtual conferencing and virtual everything. Once we have online education and better connectivity, I think campus-based faculty, of course, will continue to remain important, and direct engagement, physical engagement with students will continue to remain paramount. But at the same time, I think we should strive and get the best academicians from anywhere in the world to become a part of this university, and they should be encouraged with remote lectures, interactive sessions, virtual mentoring sessions, etc. Let the best minds in the world engage with your students, engage with your teachers and your faculty, and let the best minds, not only in academics, but also in industry and in business, encourage your youngsters in Mahindra University to strive for dizzying heights, strive for excellence, and pursue their entrepreneurial ambitions. Thirdly, sir, I would also urge Mahindra Group to start looking at a model like in Germany, where they pursue a dual model where work as an apprenticeship, practice school mode is combined and given enough course credits so that the students actually have a hands-on experience while they actually graduate and eventually join the workforce. I would urge you, sir, and also the team which is leading Mahindra University to start looking at this option of encouraging your students by way of giving them course credits and engaging with the ecosystem around Hyderabad and in Telangana and across India as well. Fourthly, I'd been to Japan recently, sir. One of the things they take a lot of pride in, Japanese, is their culture of engineering, their culture of manufacturing, and their culture of overall on enterprise. They also, in fact, were very, very elaborate when they told me about this fantastic initiative of theirs called as the Advanced Institutes of Manufacturing. Anandji, you are, of course, fundamental and instrumental in Telangana, being home to a large number of tractors, Mahindra tractors being manufactured out of our state. More than 150,000 tractors today are being manufactured from the Zahirabad unit of Mahindra and Mahindra right here in our state. What would go a long way, sir, is if we can actually combine your manufacturing expertise and set up an advanced institute of manufacturing as a part of Mahindra University, so that your university students also get a real-world experience, a real-world understanding, and real-world exposure to the finer aspects of manufacturing. I think it will go a long way, not only in creating a continuous pool of human resources, but also in furthering the cause of Make in India and Make in Telangana, and make for the world, not just for ourselves within India. And lastly, sir, let me quickly sum up and quickly add. Our Special Chief Secretary, Srimati Chitra Ramchandran, is here with us, and the Vice Chancellor of Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, under whom more than 200 engineering colleges are currently structured and under whom they are covered. Mr. Jayesh Ranjan is also here. As a nation, I think we are obsessed with examinations. As a nation, we are obsessed with quizzes. As a nation, we are obsessed in getting our children, of course, the much needed education, but through an intense and a very, very laborious sort of a program, which I think is causing a great deal of stress to our young children and youngsters in our country. I would urge Mahindra University to look at, possibly getting away from this obsession with exams and obsessive focus on examinations. I'm not saying completely do away with it, but at the same time, I think a right balance could be found where real-world expertise and also, of course, examinations, a right balance could be found where the children could actually also engage in other activities and also can get possibly some course credits. For example, entrepreneurship, again, going back to my favorite topic, could also be given course credits. Innovation could be given course credits. And a good, ideal combination of this along with exams, I think, is what is going to really create well-rounded individuals and well-rounded students coming out of Mahindra University, and eventually creating more enterprises and creating more jobs for other job seekers out there. I'm confident, sir, under your stewardship, Mahindra University will imbibe all the best qualities, which we see in evidence in all other verticals of the Mahindra Group. Mahindra and Mahindra and Tech Mahindra are two group combined companies that have a large footprint in our state. And we have always felt proud about the enormous contribution they have made in our state's growth and development. I'm sure that in days to come, Mahindra University will also be spoken in the same breath. I once again convey my heartfelt congratulations to Sri Anand Mahindra ji and to the rest of the senior leadership team who will be providing stewardship to this new university, not only on my behalf, but also on behalf of Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Education Minister, and the entire ecosystem in the state of Telangana. We welcome you with a red carpet and we look forward to working with you closely, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring message, and thank you for conveying the message of the Honorable Chief Minister. I love some of your points on highlighting innovation, entrepreneurship, online education, better connectivity, and giving importance to dual work and practice mode and real world experience. So with all of this, we will definitely strive for excellence. Now, ladies and gentlemen, are you still here? Because I ask, as the fun has just begun. We are minutes away from the grand unveiling, and I can feel the excitement. This year has been unprecedented, and amidst the uncertainty and randomness, it's reassuring to see something concrete and substantial coming up to equip the youth. I'm really excited to see the University of the Future, and for its launch, I would like to invite back on stage all our dignitaries. Thank you everyone for joining us, and with all your blessings, let's look into the future. That looks great. I thought the logo was cool too. Did any of you notice the way the M of Mahindra and the U of the universe come together to form Mahindra University? Fascinating, isn't it? I spent the time thinking about how we truly need to revolutionize the education curriculum in India. Foreign education continues to be the theme for dreams for most students, and it is time to change that. I'm proud that Mahindra and Hyderabad are taking this concrete step with Mahindra University. I would now like to invite Srimati Chitra Ramachandran, Special Chief Secretary for Education, Government of Telangana. Over to you, ma'am.
Many thanks, Malvika. Honorable Minister Shri Tarak Ramarao Garu, Chancellor Shri Anand Mahindra Garu, Vice Chancellor Shri Gurnani, Jayesh, and friends. The government of Telangana has indeed taken a giant and historical stride into the future in the education sector. As all of us know, we are entering into now the era of private universities. And today is indeed a milestone. We are at a historical juncture when technology and content have merged, and the Telangana state are interested in leveraging this blend of technology and content as a great leveler of opportunities. This is our Honorable Chief Minister's vision and what the Minister for IT, Honorable Minister for IT, has been striving for. My greetings to the team. I have worked very closely with all of you indeed, and it's a pleasure and privilege for me to associate with the team, with this very highly motivated team, and I wish this endeavor great success. Namaste.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring message. I would now like to invite Mr. Vineet Nair, Chairman, Mahindra Educational Institutions and Board of Management, Mahindra University. Over to you, Mr. Nair.
Good afternoon. After listening to such erudite people, especially Minister for Information Technology, I feel I have very little to say or to add. I think listening to the minister was one of the finest things I've seen or heard for a long time. I will just raise one issue. That is, what are we doing for people not so privileged to be able to join this university? What are we doing about regions which have been somewhat neglected in the Indian Union for getting this quality of education? I see that as mine and our next challenge. Yes, we have made some provisions for subsidizing education of specific category of individuals. But that, I believe, is hugely inadequate. This institution does not only need to create opportunities, it has to create opportunities for all meritorious individuals who want to seek admission. Add to that the fact that there are certain regions in India which are completely untouched by quality education for multiple reasons. Take J&K, take the Northeast. There is no dearth of talent there. What is lacking is opportunities. If we are going to create such a class institution, I feel we would have failed in our endeavor if this segment of people, individuals, are not part of this institution. So my next goal is only one. With our extremely competent Vice Chancellor, he doesn't require help. So my basic focus will be on securing money, securing donations, so that we could fund individual students, bright and young, who live in these peripheral regions, more or less. I would like to see women reaching at least 40% of the population in our university. So I think I'm going to end it here by saying that if you ask me what is going to be my focus over the next 2 to 3 years, it's only going to be how do we bring those have-nots into the mainstream and bring about a level of equality which this country has lacked and continues to lack for such a long time. I hope you folks will help me. I will be coming to you, Minister. I will be coming to all other people to see how we can create such a system and at least get 40% women and about 20 to 25% people from the neglected regions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nair, for your words of encouragement. Education for all. We are with you, sir. I know all of you have been curious to see what the university looks like. Well, I am. So let's take a look inside the campus.
Spread over 130 acres in Hyderabad, a campus that's lush and green, always buzzing with ideas and innovation, with state-of-the-art research centers, 3D printing and prototyping laboratories, India's first university to drive digital transformation of higher education, powered by emerging technologies, enabled by innovation hubs. It's time to reimagine higher education, to educate future citizens for and of a better world. Mahindra University, global thinkers, engaged leaders.
Wow, that was mind-blowing. I don't know about all of you here, but this makes me want to go back to college. Please do share what you thought with the hashtag TakeYouBeyond, that is TECHU Beyond on Twitter. I now call upon Dr. Rohini Srivatsa, National Technology Officer, Microsoft India. Over to you, Dr. Srivatsa.
Thank you very much, Malvika. Thank you. Thank you, Malvika. It's a pleasure to be here among all the distinguished guests assembled here, and absolutely delighted to hear about the university and see a few glimpses of it. Look, Microsoft, we are very much committed to AI for all in every way, and to reflect Mr. Vineet Nair's comments, in many ways, AI can be a way to bring inclusion, accessibility through language, multi-language access, and our commitment also to AI in education from tools on personalized learning that can improve education outcomes. Also, in terms of skilling for the digital economy, there are multiple things that we are doing, whether it is AI labs in universities or working with CBSE in terms of incorporating AI into school curriculum. I think, first of all, congratulations to Mahindra University for this launch. And we are happy to sponsor a contest for creative arts. Clearly, one thinks of AI as a technology, but the whole idea of AI for all also means that it is in fact very much applicable across disciplines, and creative arts is no exception. So the objective of this particular contest was to see high school students and harness their creativity, and multiple students have participated in this contest from across the country. They've worked continuously for 72 hours under mentoring of the university team, and their ideas were evaluated using criteria like novelty, impact on society, and entrepreneurial vision. Very interesting takes have come out, and I'm just delighted to see the creativity of students and the range of applications that they have used AI for. So delighted to award the runner-up of this contest for a team that thought about using AI for transforming old melodies for the new generation. I thought that was really a superb thought, and the emphasis was on generating current generation music using old instruments. So this was submitted by Bala Mahendra Verma, T. Anand Kumar, Rohit from Bhashyan Junior College in Guntur. The winner of the contest is another very, very interesting idea and brings out the accessibility point I was mentioning earlier, because AI does have the ability to create solutions of that kind. This team has created an idea for visually impaired, providing highly sustainable, cost-effective solutions compared to 3D printers, bringing ideas into real four-dimensional objects. It was proposed by a group of students from the St. Augustine Day School, Kolkata, proposed by Ronak Das and the team. So he's the winner of the contest. Very heartened to see the range of ideas that have come through, and the creativity of students. Congratulations to Mahindra University for a great future, and for the teams for participation. And please keep learning. There is just so much out there that you can do with AI. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rohini, and congratulations once again to our winners. Before we move on to our last segment, we have a story for you. Yeah, it's a story of broken bones and body, and one of an unbreakable human spirit. It's a story of a person who's been recognized by the president with the Nari Shakti Puraskar Award and by the New York Times with another award. It's a story of a woman whom the Prime Minister Modi handed over his Twitter account to on Women's Day. It's a story of courage, of conviction, and most of all, it's a story that we must all listen to and hopefully learn from. And yes, it is a story of someone who spent the entire morning with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back on stage our host for today, Dr. Malvika Iyer, a woman of substance and a woman of strength. Thank you so much. Over to you, Malvika.
Can you remember yourself at 13 as you tried to determine who you were and who you wanted to become? I wanted to do the same, but there was one problem. I was living in a hospital and my hands and legs were bandaged with external fixators drilled inside my legs. The pain was unbearable. To make things worse, people started pitying me. They would look at me and say things like a terrible thing happened to me and that my future was a dark place. They believed that my life was over. The bravest thing I ever did was find hope when there was none. I survived a bomb blast when I was 13 years old. I lost both my hands and severely injured both my legs with multiple fractures, nerve paralysis, and loss of sensation. I had 80% blood loss. There was no blood pressure, and doctors doubted I would survive. They said they may not be able to save my legs. Succumbing to my injuries was fate, but staying down, wallowing in self-pity, was a choice I didn't want to make. I'm going to share 3 lessons with you that helped me become the person that I am today. Lesson number 1. There's always a silver lining. When the doctors were sewing up the stumps of my hands, I ended up with a protruding bone on my right hand by mistake. But this very mistake has been one of my biggest blessings. This bone has been my lone tool in typing on a smartphone or a laptop, and it has been my connection to the world. I even typed my PhD thesis with it. So however fearful and uncertain the world might seem, there's always a silver lining. Lesson number 2, the power of never giving up. I was told that I would never walk again, but with strong will and determination, I proved everyone wrong and walked again. Although I did more than just walk, I walked the ramp as a showstopper to promote accessible fashion for people with disabilities in India. Lesson number 3, acceptance. From receiving a standing ovation for my speech at the United Nations headquarters to co-chairing the World Economic Forum India Economic Summit, my journey as a motivational speaker has been life-changing. I still remember the feeling of welcoming and joy I received from the audience when I delivered my first talk. Since then, I have been receiving thousands of messages from people around the world. They tell me they feel hopeful after reading about my life. They tell me that they have stopped complaining and blaming themselves and started living life to the fullest. This, I believe, is what changed me. At the end of the day, it is survive your challenges that matters the most. Acceptance is the greatest reward that we can give to ourselves. The day I accepted everything, I was able to understand things better. I realized that I have been given the second life as a gift, and I must use this to help people understand that one must never ever give up in life. I had the privilege of meeting Dr. Abdul Kalam at Rashtrapati Bhavan when I topped my boards in class 10th. What he said about education forever stayed with me. Learning gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge, and knowledge makes you great. Education transformed my life, and I cannot think of a more important and fitting topic for the panel discussion that we are about to have today on the topic Reimagining Higher Education. I would now like to invite our esteemed panelist, Dr. Meduri, Vice Chancellor, Mahindra University, Mr. Suman Reddy, MD and Country Head, Pega Systems, Dr. Skand Bali, Principal, Hyderabad Public School, and Mrs. Sudha Sahai, Principal, Senior School, Aravali Campus, the Sri Ram School. Welcome, everyone. I would like to begin this discussion by asking each one of you to share a brief view of your imagination of higher education. I want to start with Dr. Meduri. What do you aspire higher education to embody, and how do you visualize that to be different than today?
Thank you, Malvika. At the outset, I have to say that your life story has been one of absolute courage and determination, something which has made the day, I guess, for everybody who has been participating in today's event. I bow to you. Thank you very much. Just as iTunes, Netflix, Kindle, and other innovations have disrupted the music and media industries, new developments are shaking higher education to its core. In much the same way, these technologies and business models change the way we interact with and consume everything from books and television to movies and other media, so too with higher education. Science and technology have spawned new models for teaching and learning that will fundamentally alter the student experience in the years ahead. Education innovators are using technology and analytics to transform every facet of the college experience, from helping students make more informed educational investments to reducing the geographic and financial barriers to learning. Moreover, and I believe this exponential rate at which new knowledge is created today is drawing a new breed of alternative education providers into higher education. These providers are developing low-cost, lightweight, on-demand learning solutions to help close the growing gap between the skills employers seek and the skills students possess upon graduation. The question facing all of us, colleges and universities, is how to marry the best of a liberal arts education with advances in technology and new models of learning to effectively adapt higher education for the digital age we live in. In today's hyper-competitive world, accelerating learning is a new dominant driver of success. The emerging higher education landscape is one that is befitting of the digital era and of today's tech-savvy students. It's the one that uses the cloud, social networks, mobile computing, big data to create digital learning ecosystems that serve entrepreneurial learners, allowing them to design their own educational plan based on the goals they want to achieve. It may and may not involve 4, 3, 5 years of study. Rather, students set their own pace. We're waiting for that in India, progressing not through semesters, but as they master various competencies. And similar to electronic health records, the credentials they earn follow them throughout the professional lives, reflecting the total sum of their education from traditional degrees earned to alternative badges and corporate training completed. Once again, I will quote our late former President Abdul Kalam, and he said, "Once your mind stretches to a new level, it never goes back to its original dimension." And I think, ladies and gentlemen, this sums up everything. This sums up, as we discussed today, reimagining higher education. Thank you. Thank you, Malvika.
I absolutely love that quote, Dr. Maduri. I would like to ask Mr. Reddy, your thoughts on higher education.
All right. So let me also start off by congratulating Mahindra Group and the Mahindra family on the launch of this university. And I am delighted and honored to be invited to the Academic Council. Let me also second to what Mr. Maduri said. I think, Malvika, your story is a true inspiration for all of us. And I tell you, for millions of people to come to. So thank you for everything what you do. One thing I have to say that is that I truly admire the vision that is established by Mahindra University. It states, educating future citizens for and of a better world. And I think I truly, truly believe that to be true. Especially when you think about it, India has the demographic edge. We are a young talent pool that is estimated to become the world's largest by 2030, right? About 10 years from now. And if you look at what India has achieved, India's higher education sector has also supplied some of the world's best talent in the world. That includes the CEOs of Microsoft, Google, Adobe, to name a few, right? We've seen the number of universities and colleges double during this time. But having said that, I think we are sitting at a very critical juncture right now, especially with the Industry 4.0 and the Education 2.0 converging this together. I think we have an opportunity to really think very differently, right? As they say that in business world, whenever the convergence happen of technology, new organizations come up ground up and they come to disrupt the world, right? I think we are looking at that juncture right now, especially now with accelerated by COVID and all the digital focus that we have. We truly have an opportunity to build a higher education ground up that can last for the next 100 years. And we are looking at now, and my belief is that the launch of Mahindra University gives a tremendous opportunity to reimagine the higher education in India.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy. Dr. Bali, your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, thank you, Malvika, for inviting me over. And it's really a pleasure listening to the speakers before me. And I want to congratulate Mr. Mahindra and his vision, which is behind this university. See, when you ask a question, what is the future of higher education in India and what I see as an educator, there's no clear-cut answer here. There's no clear-cut answer here because the current generation, by the time they pass out of the universities, those professions do not exist today. We don't know of those professions. And even the curriculum which is going to be delivered 5 years down the line, we are not aware of that curriculum either. So I think one very important aspect which we need to understand when we talk about higher education is that it needs to be dynamic. When I say dynamic, it needs to change with time pretty rapidly than what it was 20, 30, 40 years back. Secondly, there are certain qualities and certain traits which have always been successful in the human generation. That is, some people call it 4 C's, some people call it 7 C's, some people call it 8 C's. That is creativity, critical thinking, compassion, communication. I think these are the qualities which every educational institution needs to impart. So apart from delivering the core content of syllabi, I think what is very important is that they need to develop leaders or students for future generation who are not only people who think out of the box, who are also job creators, who are also the ones who create opportunities. They are the ones who see 20 years ahead. And I think that is one of the challenge which at least higher education in India faces. It is one of the reasons why there has not been excess research in India over time. That's one of the reasons why we are lacking in terms of Nobel laureates around the world. That is one of the reasons why Indian higher education is nowhere to be seen at the global forefront of educational spectrum. And that is one of the reasons why a majority of the children who can afford education abroad, or those who get loans or get sponsorships or fundraising for education abroad, don't look for educational institutions in India, and they look for educational institutions abroad. So we need to introspect. And I hope with the kind of vision with Mr. Mahindra is bringing, and the kind of ethics and the values with which he works, I'm 100% sure that Mahindra University will try to bring all of that in the forefront. But I think the value has to be the core, the creativity has to be the core. And as I rightly said in the beginning, that the future professions don't exist today. The future syllabi doesn't exist today. So we have to prepare this generation to face that kind of a world tomorrow. The opportunities are immense. Unfortunately, the talent is not harnessed properly, is not groomed properly. At least in Indian educational scenario, I can see. So I hope Mahindra University changes that trend and brings more research, more creativity, more critical thinking, and maybe in future we get more Nobel laureates from India as well, that just like Japan or US.
Thank you, Dr. Bali. So here's to creating more job creators and entrepreneurs. Coming to you, Mrs. Sahai, what are your thoughts on this?
A warm namaste to all my fellow panelists, to the inspirational moderator, and of course to each and everyone in the august audience. Congratulations to the Mahindra family for taking this leap and setting up a 21st century institution of higher learning. But before we move on to what higher institutions should do, it's important for us to understand the current context in India. So in the background, the situation is that parents are looking for an institution which nurtures the whole child and is not just certifying them as qualified engineers and doctors. Higher institutions on their own are definitely trying to reboot themselves, to realign themselves, to ensure that all the 21st century learning goals are met. So there is a tectonic shift in both pedagogy and content. While students themselves are trying to create a lot more out of their learning and looking much beyond just a good placement and a good salary package. So this being the context, what is it that higher institutions can do? First and foremost, create happy and resilient individuals. People who have a growth mindset. Secondly, they should also create individuals who, as soon as they step into the working world, are able to deal with the dynamic scenario around them. Therefore, skills like collaboration, skills like being adaptable, skills of critical thinking are imperative. It is this that will help to unleash all the energies of the 7 billion plus of us on this planet. Additionally, what is it that they should do? You know what happens in progressive schools like the Shriram School from where I come? Differentiated learning, flipped model of learning, interdisciplinary learning are the buzzwords in the corridor. But as soon as the children move out into the institutions of higher education, they are shocked. Some of the institutions are still stuck in time. So I would assume and hope that all these institutions would move ahead with times and become more progressive in their mindset. But all of this would be possible only and only if there is reskilling and upskilling of the workforce in these institutions. Because what we must remember is that teachers are not there just to deliver content. They have to deliver the content plus empathy because they deal with lives. So these are my first thoughts on how and what higher institutions should do.
Thank you, Mrs. Sahai. I love the fact when you talked about growth mindset. It is my favorite topic, and wherever I get a chance to talk to young minds, especially, I always try to talk to them about the fixed mindset versus growth mindset difference. So thank you for highlighting that. Coming to you, Mr. Reddy, are we on the verge of witnessing a point of convergence of Industry 4.0 and Education 2.0 in the present times? Can you, yeah, I think.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so as I was mentioning, obviously the convergence of what's happening with the Industry 4.0, when you think about it, it's really the whole technology space, such as the Internet of Things, the cyber physical systems, the smart manufacturing, the smart factories, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, which we are specialize in as well, and the business process optimization is really where the industry is moving. And I think whatever the Education 2.0 that we might want to call, I think is at a crucial juncture where it has to balance, it has to provide, it has to create skills to complement the changes that are taking place in the Industry 4.0 transformation. We believe in the current, at least I currently believe that there is a huge gap. There is a huge gap in learning. There is a huge gap between curriculum and what the industry needed skills are. So I think we have to look at this as an opportunity, as a convergence to actually generate a lot of those skills so the industry can get benefited out of it.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy. And my next question to Principal Bali, I think it is very similar. It is something that Mr. Reddy just highlighted. Is the present curriculum at school level the right mix for preparing students for world-class undergraduate studies and international careers? And which board do you think equips a student best from that perspective?
See, it's not the board which you teach is not as important as how you deal with that particular curriculum. You may give the best of the dishes on a plate, but if the person doesn't know how to make most of it, it'll be disastrous. So in India, we have a mix of all. We have educational institutions who have excelled in delivering their curriculum. When I say curriculum, a school's curriculum is exceptionally dynamic. It is not restricted to the four walls of the classroom and the books. There are so many things which you can add into the value of a child, be it farming in the school, be it entrepreneurship, be it adventure, trekking, hiking, etc., etc., etc. So there's no particular board, I would say, which is equipped to handle or make international leaders per se. Like, for example, if I give example of my own school, the Hyderabad Public School, Begumpet, which I head, we have been following ICSE and IISc curriculum, which is an Indian curriculum. And we have given global leaders over the years. To name a few, for example, Microsoft, Adobe, MasterCard, Fairfax, Cobra, P&G, all the CEOs have been alumni of my school. So it's not about the curriculum per se, it's about how you deal with the curriculum. So it's very important and critical in today's time that educational leaders get trained themselves. They look out and try to bring the best practices in their institutions, and only then the curriculum can move forward. And every board is as good and as bad as you deal with it. I have seen children doing exceptionally well with state board curriculum as well. But at the same time, I have seen children not doing well with the international baccalaureate as well, because it's not handled the way it should be handled. So I think more to do with the handling of the curriculum rather than the curriculum in itself, if that answers your question.
Okay, yes, that makes sense. Dr. Meduri, this is my favorite question. In a world where the right and left brains find a point of convergence or at least common grounds of confluence, do you think evaluation process and agenda for admission into undergraduate courses across disciplines should also undergo a sea of change?
You said it, left brain, right brain has been something which Mahindra University has been expounding in all its documents so far. How do you marry cognitive skills with the self-awareness of a student? Are they emotionally bright? Do they know themselves? Things like that. And so far as professional courses go, we get stuck with following the result of either a national level exam or a state level exam. We're not allowed to get in and talk to students and get their viewpoint about how they look at these things, But I think as we are moving forward and the way the 21st century is changing, okay, and where employers specifically say that they're looking more at leadership, communication, team building, critical thinking, these are all skills which they want to see in an individual. Okay, and from a Mahindra University perspective, we're looking at the soul, as our Chancellor Anand Mahindra also put it. Okay, I think it becomes very, very important to try and incorporate this aspect into selection of students, that we should be allowed to reach out to them and see what sort of facets, aspects can they be allowed to develop and how can we do it. Because after all, if it's going to be technical education or non-technical education, how do you marry AI and EI? That becomes, I think, the underlying statement. Yes, we look forward to the day when regulators will allow us to actually speak to students and incorporate that part into the admission process, because I think it'll help overall in making students aware that they should, at this, right from the school stage, be looking at empathy, looking at sensitivity. These are all issues which will help them later on in life.
Absolutely, I agree with you here. Mrs. Sahai, you talked about reskilling, upskilling. So my next question to you is, transformation at the higher level needs to be ably complemented at the lower rungs, even if it comes to education. So how would you balance that? How would you like to share your thoughts on that?
So I completely agree with what you just said, that higher education and school education should be complementary in nature, and therefore there is a lot that goes into school education. People have already mentioned the importance of the C's in the life of students, which is their level of confidence and their the art of communication, their creativity, which again at school we lay a lot of emphasis on. But what we are also doing consciously is giving them a boost to the soft powers they have. And what I mean is that it is this boost to the soft powers that will help them to stay ahead of the learning curve. With the intervention of AI and ML, there is an increasing fear in individuals that, people will become, and there is this fear of being unneeded, and that people will become redundant. But a machine will never be able to take critical decisions. A machine can never be in a leadership position. Forever, the master behind the machine is going to be the brain of the human being. So these are the things that we consciously work upon in school to ensure that the children, when they step out into the working world, they are well armed, well equipped to deal with the dynamic work situation.
Okay, so Principal Bali, I'm following what Mrs. Sahai said about how children should be well equipped at every stage. So how do you ensure schools, higher education and opportunities at work are connected? That is, each one is preparing the students to hone the talent and they are in sync.
I call it in India, the education system is absolutely like a traffic system. I call it organized chaos. When I say organized chaos, not in a negative sense, but in a positive sense, that They are not connected. They're all coming from different dynamism and different directions, but then they somehow meet the destination. So as far as our school is concerned, what we do is we try to do like many of the schools do in the country. We create career talks for them. We take them to the industry. We take them to the university. But there's one more thing which we have started in our school a couple of years back. We have started a department called the Department of Progressive Learning. Now, under that department, we throw the world problems at the students. For example, if there is a crisis at the global level in an industry, so we throw that crisis to the students and we divide them into different teams. So one team becomes the CEO and the top management, one team becomes the workers, one team becomes the decision makers, one team becomes the government, etc. And we tell them, what do you make out of this? Why this problem has started? So the idea behind all of that is that the moment students start thinking critically and creatively, that gap between the school education, college education, and the careers starts bridging. There are problems which they'll face post their undergrad and the postgrad, once they go into the careers, are the problems which are never taught in educational institutions, unfortunately, for a long, long time. What is taught in educational institutions and the focus has been on mathematics, sciences, Hindi, history, English, etc., 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 but not on the other aspects or the skills, which is making them mentally strong, making them think out of the box, being more critical and creative, try to look for solutions rather than feeling bad about the problems. I think those are the steps which we do. So at our school, we not only organize career talks, we connect them with the industry visits. We call people from different professions to come to the school and talk to the students. And we also throw these problems to the students themselves so that they come up with some kind of solutions. We also have various councils in the school. So students play a very active role in decision making. So every small or a big problem of the school is thrown at them in that council. So they come up with the ideas and solutions and suggestions. So that is how we move on, and we are hoping that that will make some difference in their lives, wherein they start preparing for the professions which don't exist today, and the kind of life which is 5 years down the line, which none of us are aware of.
Dr. Bali, I think progressive learning makes a lot of sense, and I agree with your point on encouraging children to learn handling real life situations. I had always wished when my accident happened and I was just 13 years old, that I did not really have any education or any training as to how do I overcome a disability. So I think that's a very, very important aspect as to embracing success and failure, and these are the kind of lessons that we must learn. Mr. Sahai, I have one more question for you, just related to what Dr. Bali just said. You have spoken about enjoying engagement with the high schoolers. So what and how do you guide them to prepare for their future as they leave high school?
So to tell you honestly, there is no time aside in the curriculum to say, okay, this is the time when the school is going to consciously work towards preparing children. But every single day they are given experiences which walk and talk the values of the school. They are told and they know and they can see it for themselves that integrity cannot be compromised at any cost. They are trained to be sensitive to each other, to accept differences, to celebrate diversity, to be sensitive to the environment, which further links into sustainable living in future. They are also told to celebrate the uniqueness of the individual that they are, to take pride in their culture and heritage, which will again hold them in good stead when they move out. And additionally, they also know that pursuing excellence in any field of their choice, anything that they are passionate about, again is going to take them far in life. So the school does not focus just on marks. The school does not just focus on academics. What we do is that we work very, very consciously to give children a holistic education. And why my student, with pride I can say, stands out in a crowd is just because of these soft skills that they have imbibed over years, and led by the values of the school, they are able to hold on to their own, speak their mind, and speak their mind even if it is against the popular view. So this is how the children are prepared to face the world outside.
Absolutely. Very, very inspiring. Mr. Reddy, coming to you, this is something that I've been curious to know. What do employers like you look for in the future talent?
Malvika, before I answer, just very quickly, I think I heard Ms. Sahir's answer on what the future of our kids look like. For the last 5 months since we announced work from home, I've had this opportunity to sort of sit next to my son every day in the morning. And for the last couple of months, as he's picked up his classes online, it became very interesting for me to observe that, despite of what I spoke about, the convergence of Industry 4.0, Education 2.0, we spoke about artificial intelligence, automation, the world has transformed completely, right? But at the same time, when I see his education process today, I think it's still very generic. All 25 students get the exact same education. And when we have an opportunity to really create a personalized education, leveraging the power of cloud computing and technology, this is really something I would love to see all of our school system, all the way from kindergarten up, to see how they can actually come up with a personalized education, just as a word out there. To come back to answer the question that you said in terms of what does industry expect in terms of people when we are looking for hiring, I've been working with the academia for the last 4 or 5 years to create what I call as industry-ready skills. The day they graduate, they should be productive in what they do. So we've actually done programs with various engineering colleges in the last 4 or 5 years. And I've also sort of created a program which graduates 2,000 students as of last year who get a job, they're able to be productive on day one. But what I realized is that, look, skills is something that we can go and work with the academia and say, can you introduce this particular skill because that would be useful for a job. But the gap that I'm finding right now, which I think would be interesting to explore, is to figure out how do we sort of strike balance between the learning and the employability skills. And by that, what I mean is I think we need to really focus on key skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, communication, and really the entrepreneurial abilities, right? If this is inculcated into the curriculum, then no matter what career they take, I think this learning will ensure a relatively smooth transition to employment. So we believe the skills is something very easy to teach. If you're able to focus on some of these employment skills, as I call it, I think it will greatly benefit the industry.
Absolutely. Dr. Meduri, I have a question for you now. Do you think education will fundamentally shift in the post-COVID-19 world?
It's, I think, something which everybody, all educationists have been debating about. And I think if there will ever be a time to rethink the nature of higher education, this is it. Because the current health crisis poses daunting challenges, which will test our capacity to respond and how we do it. I mean, everybody comes up with the blended learning, online, offline, etc., etc. But I think basically, if you look at it, and if you look at what educationists have been discussing over the last 3 to 4 months, all of us agree that 7 principles should underlie the post-COVID decision making. One is equity, accessibility, affordability, learning, an outcome-focused environment, flexibility, resilience, and sustainability. Because are we going to take care of that? Will we be looking at all these? Because it's just not the high-income group students who are able to access online, but one has to look at the other population also. How are we going to get them onto higher education? And I'm looking at higher education basically. Number one is to create more resilient institutions to respond more nimbly and successfully. Yeah.
Dr. Meduri, would you like to continue talking about education shift and how there could be a change in the post-COVID-19 world?
Thanks, Malvika. I think just like the COVID world, we are also going through an interruption. But I just want to go back to the 7 principles which I said should underlie the post-COVID decision making from the viewpoint of colleges and universities. One is equity, accessibility, affordability, learning and outcome-focused education, flexibility, resilience, and sustainability. I think these become very, very important points. And achieving these objectives will require a willingness to think outside the traditional box. Can we get into that? Because are we there to better serve the vertical transfer population we're talking about? How do we create more resilient institutions? And how do we enhance the quality of online teaching? That's most important. And finally, looking at it from the left brain, right brain point of view, we need to think more intentionally about educating the whole student, because cognitive development is easily done through online, but how do you get the whole development of a student, including their mental health, their physical wellness, all be considered as part of this if a student is going to be residing at home all the time during this COVID era? I think these are things which one has to consider. So I think my suggestion is higher education in India has to be bold. We shouldn't just muddle through our current predicaments, but use this opportunity to move forward to a more sustainable future. Thank you.
Very inspiring, Dr. Meduri. I have a question for all the 4 panelists here, and I want you all to describe education in one word. So I'm going to start first. Education to me is empowering. So, Dr. Meduri, what is education to you? Just one word.
Intelligence plus character.
Lovely. Mr. Reddy, what is education to you?
Power. One word. Education.
Okay. Absolutely. Mrs. Sahai, how about you?
Equalizer.
Lovely. And Dr. Bali, your word.
Dynamic.
I loved all the words. So I have Vrinda here who has some questions. So over to you, Vrinda.
Yeah, hi. So this question is for Mr. Mahendra. We all know what an ambassador and an advocate you are of liberal arts. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to hear from you, your thoughts about why it's important in education. Yeah. Over to you, sir.
Sorry, Vrinda, I lost your voice for a bit. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, it's about the importance of liberal arts in education.
My great sadness is that people have to ask that question at all. That what is the importance, and that it has to be explained. When you look back at the history of education, the origins of education and formal education, in fact, were only about liberal arts. And science was, in fact, subsumed under that. Liberal arts was a universe. It was a holistic way of looking at life. And unfortunately, along the way, as the Industrial Revolution took place and science came to the fore, that took center stage, and liberal arts was a kind of nice to have, a tag along. We forget that liberal arts is a humanistic way of looking at education. It's all encompassing. So to me, liberal arts, without that, you will get no leadership. You will get no questioning. And when you don't have curiosity, when you don't have humility, when you don't have questioning, you don't really have fundamental transformation and fundamental learning. So I am looking forward to the day, Vrinda, when nobody's going to have to ask that question anymore. They will simply say, education is liberal arts, and every discipline is but a subset of that.
More power to that day, sir. And we all remember your famous quote about artists saving the world and not technology. So yes, thank you so much. Over to you, Malvika.
Thank you, Vrinda. thank you, Vrinda, and thank you, sir, for that. Okay, I think we had an amazing panel discussion. I'm sure all of us are going to take back a lot of learning. It was an insightful discussion about reimagining higher education, and I have learned a lot. I've taken down a lot of points from all the 4 amazing panelists, starting from growth mindset to upskilling. I think teaching children about how to face real life experiences. So I think we are all going to learn a lot. I want to here invite Dr. Meduri to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Malvika. Thank you. Let me just say that feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. And I think I will start off my vote of thanks by saying a big thank you to Dr. Malvika Iyer, who has stayed awake way across continents in the US to anchor and present this show. Thank you very much. Start off by a vote of thanks for our Honorable Chief Minister, KTR Garu, the Education Minister, our Education Secretary, for holding our hands right through, Chief Secretary of Telangana, Principal Secretary to the Chief Minister, our IT Secretary, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, who has been with us all through, previous Education Secretary, Dr. Janardhan Reddy, Mr. Arvind Kumar. We also give a vote of thanks to our 2 police commissioners, Mr. Sajanar and Mr. Mahesh Bhagwat. Closer home in JNTU, to whom we have been affiliated for the last 6 years, to Dr. Govardhan, Dr. Manzoor Hussain, Dr. Lata and team, the Higher Education Secretariat, Ms. Sudha Rani and her team. We also have listening in the US Consul General in Hyderabad. A big thank you, sir. Dr. Khatri in Karnataka, a big thank you. Thank you to Microsoft for assisting us in the process and providing the sponsorship. And thank you to my colleagues, Prafulla and team, for handling the AI contest. A big thank you to our Chancellor and Chairman, Mr. Anand Mahindra, to our mentors, Vineet and CP, assisted by Mr. Shivanand and his team, which includes KVR, Raghav, the whole team which has put together and worked so hard in realizing this opportunity. To our strategy chief, Mr. Jagdish Mitra and his team. Jagdish, a big thank you. Thank you to Nischal, to Ashima, Ankita, Abhilasha, to Rinda, who's there, and to my close colleagues, Praveen and the IT team, to my executive assistant, SKC, and his team, to my administrative staff. It's just going to become too much because I will miss out somebody, to the TechM leadership team out there, okay, and to Anjali Datta and her team for creation of the logo and now working on the website. Buffalo Soldiers, which has put together this whole program, Sumon and team. I think I'm going to run out. So if I missed out anybody, thank you. I apologize. To my Mahindra University governing body, Board of Management, Academic Council, all the members who have contributed so much in helping us work our way through. Because I do believe that the best and beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt by heart. And saying thank you is one such prayer amongst them. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to the audience, to the stakeholders, students, parents, existing, past, future, and to everybody else who has joined us for this lovely program, which has been anchored by somebody on whom we really look forward to and look up to. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What a lovely prayer. And thank you, Dr. Meduri, for remembering each and every person who was instrumental in this launch. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a wonderful, wonderful day full of excitement and learning. A new world is surely on the rise. And as they say, all good things must come to an end. So does this beautiful morning. So while this ceremony ends, the journey continues. The Mahindra family wishes all the students a bright and prosperous future. You can reach out to us at the Mahindra website, that is www.mahindrauniversity.ac.in. Meanwhile, keep tweeting us at Take You Beyond. That is TECH, You Beyond, and we can't wait to hear from you. So see you all soon, and thank you.